There's a law of power that makes most people uncomfortable. Law 15 from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Crush your enemy totally, not partially, not enough to weaken them, completely. And the reason this law exists isn't cruelty, it's survival. Because if you leave your enemy alive, even wounded, they will recover, they will remember, and they will come back for you. This is about understanding why half measures don't work, why mercy to your enemies is often cruelty to yourself, and why the most dangerous thing you can do is win without finishing. Let me explain what this law actually means. Crush your enemy totally doesn't mean physical violence. It means removing their ability to harm you, completely, permanently. It means when you're in conflict with someone who wants to destroy you, you don't just defend, you don't just push back, you don't just win the immediate battle. You eliminate their capacity to ever threaten you again. You remove their position, their resources, their allies, their reputation, whatever power they used against you. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, out of strategy. Because an enemy who survives is an enemy who learns, who adapts, who waits for you to lower your guard. And the moment you're vulnerable, they strike. That's why half measures fail. You think you've won, you think the threat is over, but you've only created a more dangerous enemy, one who knows your tactics, understands your weaknesses, and is now motivated by the need to settle the score. Here's why people violate this law. First, they mistake mercy for strength. They think letting a defeated enemy survive shows character, shows they're the bigger person. But mercy to someone who wants to destroy you isn't noble. It's naive, because they're not grateful for your mercy. They're planning their return. Second, they're afraid of looking ruthless. They're worried about their reputation, about what others will think. So they half win. They make their point but don't follow through. They humiliate their enemy, but leave them functional. And then they act surprised when that enemy comes back stronger. Third, they underestimate their enemy's ability to recover. They think they've learned their lesson, or they won't try again. But enemies don't learn lessons, they learn tactics. And the lesson they learn from your mercy is that you're weak, that you hesitate, that you can be beaten if they're smarter next time. Let me give you historical examples of this law. When you leave an enemy wounded but alive, you create a permanent threat. Leaders throughout history who showed mercy to defeated rivals often found those same rivals returning to destroy them. But the ones who crushed their enemies totally, they secured their position. They created lasting peace, not because they were cruel, but because they were thorough. The Roman Empire understood this. When they conquered, they didn't just defeat armies, they destroyed the enemy's ability to ever threaten Rome again. That's why Rome lasted centuries. They understood Law 15. In contrast, leaders who showed mercy or negotiated weak peace treaties often found themselves fighting the same enemies repeatedly, because partial victory is temporary victory. Now let me show you how this applies to everyday life. You're not crushing literal enemies, but the principle applies to anyone who actively works against you. In business, a competitor who's trying to destroy your company doesn't deserve a fair fight. If you have the advantage, you press it completely. You don't leave them room to recover, because if you just wound them, they'll adapt their strategy and come back harder. In the workplace, someone who's actively sabotaging your career, spreading lies, undermining you to management. If you catch them, you don't just confront them, you document everything, build an ironclad case, and you end their ability to harm you permanently. You remove their credibility, their position, their access to hurt you, because if you just talk it out or handle it quietly, they'll just get smarter about hiding it. In relationships, not romantic relationships, but toxic people who keep causing damage in your life. If someone repeatedly betrays you, uses you, manipulates you, and you keep giving them chances, you're violating Law 15. You're leaving an enemy alive. The solution isn't violence, it's complete removal, full cutoff, no contact, no second chances, because every chance you give them is another opportunity for them to harm you. Look at how Ayanokoji applies this law. When he decides someone is a threat, he doesn't just defend against them. He doesn't just win the immediate conflict. He systematically dismantles their entire position, their allies, their reputation, their ability to function. And he does it so completely that by the time it's over, they can't even understand what happened to them. He doesn't leave wounded enemies behind. He leaves neutralized ones. Not because he's cruel, but because he understands that partial victory creates future problems. When Ayanokoji acts against someone, that person is done, not temporarily set back, permanently removed from being a threat. That's Law 15 mastered. Now here's the part most people struggle with. How do you know when to apply this law? Not everyone who disagrees with you is an enemy. Not every competitor needs to be crushed. Law 15 is for actual enemies, people who actively seek your destruction, Here's how you identify them. They don't just compete with you. They try to destroy you personally. They spread lies. They sabotage your work. They actively recruit people against you. They celebrate your failures. These aren't competitors, they're enemies, and enemies require complete response. For everyone else, normal competition, normal boundaries, normal interaction. But for true enemies, Law 15. Here's how you actually apply this law without being evil. First, make absolutely sure they're an actual enemy. Don't confuse competition with hostility. Second, never act in anger. This isn't revenge, it's strategy. You wait, you plan, you execute when you're calm. Third, make your move complete. Don't wound them and stop. Don't humiliate them and leave them functional. Remove their ability to harm you permanently. Fourth, do it once. Don't drag it out. Don't gloat. Don't make it personal. Execute the strategy. Complete the objective. Move on. Fifth, never explain. Don't justify. Don't apologize. Don't give them information about how you did it. Just do it and let the results speak. Here's what happens when you violate this law. You show mercy. You think you've handled it. You move on. And then 6 months later, a year later, that same enemy returns. But now they're smarter. They know your tactics. They've prepared specifically for you. And the fight is twice as hard because you're fighting someone who learned from losing to you. You created your own worst enemy by not finishing when you had the chance. That's why Law 15 exists. Not to encourage cruelty, but to prevent stupidity. Because mercy to your enemies is often cruelty to yourself. Let me tell you the most important part of this law. It's not about being aggressive. It's about being thorough. If you're gonna act against someone, finish it. If you're not willing to finish it, don't start. Half measures are worse than doing nothing, because they alert your enemy without neutralizing them. They know you're a threat now. They know you're willing to act, but they also know you hesitate. And that combination makes you vulnerable. So the rule is simple. If someone is actively trying to destroy you, and you choose to respond completely. Don't wound them and hope they change. Don't humiliate them and hope they learn. Remove their ability to harm you, totally. Not because you're cruel, but because you understand that anything less is strategically stupid. Here's the final truth about Law 15. The people who master this law don't have many conflicts, because word spreads. When people know that crossing you means complete removal, not partial consequences, they don't cross you. You create peace through thorough victory, not through mercy. Mercy creates repeat offenders. Thorough victory creates respect. That's Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. And if that makes you uncomfortable, remember, this law is for actual enemies. People who are actively trying to destroy you. For everyone else, normal human decency applies. But for those who've declared war on you, war has rules. And the first rule is, if you win, finish it. Because the enemy you leave alive today becomes the enemy who destroys you tomorrow. That's not cruelty. That's strategy. That's survival. That's Law 15.